Couple of subjects we're talking to managers about today. First one, coronavirus. Obviously, the latest guidance from the Premier League: no handshaking before games. Is it going to be quite unusual? Have you spoken to the players, and how do they feel about it? And have you brought in any of your own measures?
No. Listen, we're not medical experts. We just follow the protocol and the recommendations by people much more qualified than ourselves. So other than that, it's just normal business as football managers and players.
No shaking hands before the games, but have you talked about maybe goal celebrations?
No.
Is it something you're thinking about a lot? There is talk of potentially behind closed doors games. Is that something you've got to consider, and how would you feel about that?
No, there's nothing to say much more on it. I'm a football coach who's worrying about coaching the team and preparing the team for the game. Like I said, there's people much more qualified than ourselves to think about all those scenarios. Of course, the clubs and the associations are in conversations, but our focus is on the football side.
And you hope that football side will be in front of the fans.
Yeah, well, of course, that's what the game's about. The game's about players and supporters. So one without the other, it wouldn't be quite the same.
The other subject we're looking at, an incident we saw this week with Eric Dyer at Tottenham. I just wondered how you felt about that situation and how you would feel if it was one of your own players. Would you support them?
Well, I only seen probably about a 10-second snippet of it, so don't want to comment too much on it, because we haven't seen the build-up or anything to it. I think everyone recognises it's not something that's ideal, of course, but there's an instinct there to protect his brother, which of course everyone will understand that. So, but over and above that, I haven't, and I don't know the background in it. So, but yeah, just from what I've seen.
And obviously, it's brought around the whole issue of abuse from fans as well. We've seen another incident involving Jesse Lingard last night, and it's hard, isn't it, for players not to react sometimes when they are getting all this abuse.
Well, I think in the main, players and managers also are exemplary in their behaviour in terms of what they get given out in a game. Of course, it's part and parcel of it, but of course, if it steps over the line, that's always something that we would never want to see. So, but yeah, you understand, frustrations in supporters, but none of us ever wanted to see it getting to that point where it oversteps the mark, really. So, but like I say, there is a lot of it in the game, but it's also a reflection of society as well. So hopefully, like I say, the players give their all, they do their best, and of course you can't win every single game, and unfortunately it's difficult for supporters maybe sometimes to accept that, but it certainly can't go overboard where people feel and players feel they have to react like that.
You have got a game to prepare for on Monday. How's your team looking, specifically Jamie Vardy? Is any setbacks, or is he still looking good for Monday?
Yeah, no, he looked very good in training. I think the idea that he'd be available for Monday is we're still on track with that. Trained very well this morning, and the team, collectively, the confidence is really good. Good performance in our last cup game on Wednesday. Got back to somewhere near what our intent is in games and our identity. So yeah, very good result for us, and looking to take that form into our next game.
In terms of Jamie Vardy, you've been talking, obviously, this year, since the turn of the new year, he's had the injuries and been maybe in and out, and you've been maybe talking about him just getting back to full fitness, 100% that he was before those injuries. Will this latest one be any setback to that, or do you expect him to be fully fit, raring to go?
Time will tell. Time will tell. He looked very good this morning, and we're hoping now that some of the other measures in place behind the scenes, sports science and medically, can help him. So he's a very important player for us, and has been for this club for a number of years. And in my time here, he's been tremendous. So hoping he's at the age now where it's about you're looking after your body, and hopefully you get that little bit of luck, because that's important as well with injuries. But hopefully he's clear now, because him being available and ready for us for this last section of the league is very, very important. So hopefully he'll be injury free now.
Yeah, how big a part has the injuries he's had, and also obviously you were without Wilfred Ndidi for quite a few games as well. How key has it been in terms of your downturn in form to have those two players not always available?
Yeah, of course, they're two fantastic players for us, but yeah, our focus is very much on the positive and going forward. We're sat in a fantastic position at this stage of the season. I think because of the level of consistency, how the players have worked and played over the course of this season, and we've had a little bit of a blip going back for a few games. But like I say, I get much better feeling for the team the other night in the cup game. Some are back to the intensity and the commitment and the pressure that we've had in games. So, and I know it's only a matter of time before they'll go back to being consistent again, because, like I say, we focus very much on being optimistic within the team. Our behaviours are we're always honest to go away and assess where we can be better, and that naturally gives us confidence then going forward. So yeah, we'll always appraise the performances where we can be better, where we can improve, and that will always be the process for us to try and continue with the good form. And as we sit here today, we're in a fantastic position.
Any other team news ahead of Monday night? Any other players struggling or?
Yeah, no, I think most are back fine. Ben Chilwell, we might have to have a little look at how he is. But we'll see that over the next few days.
Will you be out for revenge against Aston Villa, given what happened in the Carabao Cup?
No. We played very well in the league game. The two cup games, our performance level was okay, but we just didn't do enough to win. And Aston Villa, they got through, deserved to be in the final. So we get no complaints. But we're into our last 10 games of the season now. Everyone's clear and in our purpose now. So it's just one game at a time and put everything into the game. So that's Aston Villa, and we want to get the 3 points.
You just mentioned it there, Brendan. You are into the last 10 games of the season. Another week where you're playing a team in the bottom three. When it gets to this stage of the year, do those teams that are struggling, do you sense a different sort of approach from them, that almost that they acknowledge they're running out of weeks to save themselves now?
I always think at this period, whoever you're playing, on paper, it doesn't mean anything, whether it's a top team or a bottom team, because everyone's fighting for their life at this stage of the season. So if a team has been down there for a long period of the season, you get to this stage of the season, they're going to be fighting for their lives. We've seen it over many years. Some players only turn up in March, because the end game is near, and they know they're going to be fighting either for a promotion or fighting a relegation. So despite the name of the team that we're playing, where they sit in the league, every team is going to be pushing with a purpose, and that's no different to us. So we've got to concentrate on ourselves, on our own performance, and we know if we can bring our best game into each game now between now and the end of the season, we'll have a very good chance of winning. But it will never be easy, whoever we play.
When it comes to doing your analysis on Villa, I guess everyone else in the media particularly, it's almost every conversation is about Jack Grealish. From a coach's perspective, is it important not to almost over-focus on just stopping one person?
It's the collective. Jack's a very, very talented player, and he's shown that consistently now over the last few few seasons in particular, but they get some other good players as well, Aston Villa. So we know that it's when you do your focus and you do your preparation, you're preparing for the team, and of course they have their strengths, and you're trying to prepare for those as well. But really, it's about us and looking to bring our game and where we can hurt Aston Villa, and that's our main primarily focus.
And when you look back over those 2 legs in the League Cup, where do you felt you lost it? Was it a case of just not quite being clinical enough?
Yeah, I thought in general in the game we played well. Here we dominated the ball, we created opportunities, and they defended very, very well on the evening. So I suppose if you look back, we never took those opportunities, especially in the first leg. Second leg, the keepers made 3 fantastic saves, one in particular, which can change the complexion of the game. But listen, I don't look back so much. I'm very much a coach that looks forward, whether you win or lose or draw. It's about focusing and analysing and preparing going forward.
Just in terms of focusing on yourselves and the questions there have been and about your form, which has been not as much as you'd have liked it to have been since Boxing Day, I guess. In a way, can you take that as a compliment that here you're trying to build a big club mentality, and that people asking questions when you're struggling is almost what you want, that you're expected to be in the top 4, you have that expectation of yourselves, people around doing it. It's not just people saying, oh well, Leicester are just dropping off like we would expect them to.
I think for myself, it's always been, the optimism has always been realistic. I think whatever club you're working with, and here I'm working at a fantastic club with a great infrastructure, so of course we're optimistic to improve, but we also have a real dose of realism here in terms of what we're competing against, and in relations to budgets and teams and everything else. So I'm pretty calm on that aspect. I think, like I said, the players, the position they're in, they've been, they've got themselves into a brilliant position. If we'd have done it in a different way, winning a few games, losing a few and whatnot, and then arrived in the position we're in, then there might be not so many questions asked. But because we have been consistent for virtually near on a year, and that slight blip in terms of performance level and results, naturally we'll put the focus onto you. But it's okay, that's all part of the game. You're going to have it, especially teams and clubs like ourselves. But like you say, it shows where the level has gone to in terms of the team, and obviously what we want to roll out going forward. So but now, like I said, there's a real dose of realism here in terms of how we work, where we want to get to against the competition that we have.
We spoke to Ben Chilwell this morning. He said, we want to be seen as big game players who perform when it really matters. As a coach, that must be music to your ears, that the players are buying into, okay, 6th or 7th we don't want to just settle for that. We want to go and be concrete in 3rd or 4th if we can.
Yeah, it's been the best that you can be. There's always pressure, especially at the top end of the league, and it's dealing with that. And the more experiences they get of the big games, then it helps you in that big game mentality. So, but as I said, the players here, they've been so good in terms of how they prepare. Our preparation's been the same. The players are fighting, and now they know that we're into this last sector of the season, and we're very focused on finishing that as well as we can. And for guys like Ben and, like you say, the young players that are trying to improve their level consistently, and knowing that every game you play is a big game, and that's something that they're getting used to now.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Ian.
I just wondered whether you could clarify Ben Chilwell's injury. I wasn't at the game on Wednesday, so I just wondered, is it a knock? Is it a sickness?
Yeah, slight twinge of his hamstring. So we'll just see how that is for Monday.
And Jamie Vardy sounds like it might be kind of close regarding making a decision for him. Is it going to be quite a late decision, do you think, regarding playing Monday, or are you confident that over the course of the weekend you'll know whether he can play? Yeah,
we're still a few days away, so he looked very good in his training. So we'll monitor that over the weekend, and then see when we get to Monday where he's at. So I'm pretty much sure he'll have an involvement, and we'll see what that'll be over the weekend.
You said something fascinating earlier on, I thought, in reply to an answer regarding the Eric Dyer situation, but you talked about society and you talked about abuse and hinted that it may not just be a football thing, it's maybe a endemic of society these days. I wonder whether, and I know you're not on social media platforms, but do you think that maybe that culture, the social media, everyone's got an opinion and can voice it and can throw it at whoever they want, including footballers, actors, whoever, has that bubbled over and has it created something within society whereby at a football game now people maybe feel that they've got an entitlement to have more venom and more personal abuse to what they shout, in your instance, at footballers?
I would probably say you're right on that, Ian. I think that the noise that is created now around football and but society in general will I think it certainly fans that idea for people that they can say what they want to say, so listen, social media has obviously lots of benefits, of course, and I'm aware of that, but there's no doubt it plays a part in many aspects of modern society which isn't so good. So listen, you want supporters to come, you want the passion, because that's what the game's about. As I said before, the game is about the players and the supporters, and without either or, it's not the same. And that's why we're here. We're here to help the players produce a game for the supporters. But ultimately, in general, players will give their best, and they're not robots. They can't. They're human. At times they're going to lose, and of course sometimes they're going to react. And Eric Dyer, to me, has always seemed from the outside, without knowing him, as a really calm, good guy, intelligent boy who, has moved away from this country as a young player, gone away and learnt another language, come back again, and he's back playing, and has always looked a real stable character. So it's something that has pushed him to get into that situation. So yeah, there's probably many reasons. There's probably, like I said before, there's probably underlying reasons of maybe why it happened, of which a lot of us will be unaware of. But I think his natural instinct to protect his brother was clearly there. How
do you protect your players with that in mind then? Because you've had it, Brendan, this season. Your players have had a level of feedback, view, abuse, whatever word you want to use to describe it. How do you protect your players with that in mind when they're walking off, the phrases that are used, the language that's used from fans whose intentions I'm sure are good, but the day and age that we find ourselves in, how do you protect them that when something's thrown at them verbally, that they soak it up these days a little more than 20, 30 years ago they may not have had to?
Yeah, and I think that's what is difficult for players and managers as well, because of course when you're a bit older you tend to just let things go. I think for young people who are giving their best, it can be hard for them. So it's just a constant education. It's a constant conversation, and obviously trying to influence what they can read and not read, and what they listen to and not listen to. But of course they are young men, so they'll be able to make their own decisions. But it's part and parcel of the game. We understand that. But like I say, it can be tough for them whenever it crosses the line. So you just try and support and be there for them and offer the advice and guidance when it's needed.
On the pitch, you've talked about your form and 10 games to go. Of those 10 games, how many points are you going to need to secure a Champions League place, do you think?
Well, I would say we're certainly probably going to need to at least win half of them, and maybe more. So that's our focus. But it's something that we will really ready to embrace now. We've put ourselves into a great position. Whatever's gone before is gone. And as we sit, we're in an absolutely brilliant position, and it's the job now. Like I said, the team showed that collective confidence the other night that made me happy, and we had to dig in the other night because this is a game that wasn't easy against a team that was organised, compact. So we showed that ability to keep going, dig it in, and then our football won us through in the end, as well as our mentality. So that was great to see that back. And I just think there may have been a subconscious feeling amongst the players that were in such a great position and with a gap and with a distance. And it's something that, like I said, you're not thinking about it, but can naturally be there. And it's just, listen, that can happen to any team. But all I know is with this team is that their intentions right from the off, when we set our goals, we're still well on track with that, and if not, even more. So in terms of, our goal differences and everything that we want to achieve, we're in an absolutely brilliant position. And then, as I said, we'll assess it all at the end of it. But we just arrive into each game now and give everything to it.
And you've hinted there then, maybe for the first time, that there's now a change of focus, that you are focused on the Champions League. Is that now there are 10 games to go? It sounds like in what you've just said, you're now opening up to Leicester City. The target now for these last 10 games is to finish in that Champions League position.
Well, I think if you assess the position that we're in, we don't want to finish any lower. So we want to do our best, and our best is to finish as high as we can. So,
and that's what you've said all season, but just now there seemed a different tone. Does that mean that, yes, you're aiming for a Champions League spot?
No, I think it means that with 10 games to go, if we can get the points then that we want, then we may not finish any lower. So
is that a yes?
That's a yes.
At last. It's taken me 28 games. Delighted with that. We hope that you manage it, of course.
Thanks,
Rob mentioned Jack Grealish. Finally from me,
yeah.
A few teams have tried to curtail his performance, and Manchester City, I know that they're an incredible football team, managed it. How do you do it? How do you stop clearly a very influential player for Aston Villa? What can you do individually to try and keep him quiet on Monday night?
Well, that's the thing. It's a collective effort when you play against teams. And listen, every team we've played has a strength. We obviously play Aston Villa, and one of their strengths is Jack, who's a big talent. He's got great strength in carrying the ball. He's got a lovely way to pass. He can create things out of nothing. So he's a big talent. But every team has that. Every team has a strength, and you're always in your pre-game meetings with your coaching staff. You're looking at where you can nullify that strength, but obviously, of course, exploit any weaknesses of an opponent. So we know we have to pay attention anytime he's on the ball. We respect that, but like I say, they've got other good players that we'll also think about as well as their own game.
As ever, good luck on Monday.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Your next door,
okay.
Next door, please.
Super.
Dailies.